Now, whether you're feeding a house full or just a party of one, Chef Matt Dean Pettit has a beef dip that is sure to please in today's daily dish. Here's what you need to make this recipe. You need some boneless beef chuck pot roast, beef stock, caraway seeds, Montreal steak spice, a Kaiser roll, Dijon mustard, creme fraiche, and potato chips. Yay for the chips! That was a nice little surprise. Matt, I hear this recipe has a very special place in your heart. Please tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. So this dish is near and dear to my heart. So when I was a kid growing up, shout out to Midland, Ontario, one of my favorite places in the world for my every single birthday growing up, we would go to the Boatworks. It's no longer there, but it's a beautiful restaurant. The building's still there on the water, overlooking Georgian Bay. Stunning, beautiful patio, and they had this beef dip sandwich. And it was something, as a kid, Tracy, when you get to eat with your hands and dunk can go crazy, like, you know, no knife and fork required, right? Right? It was a dream come true. So
that is
the
lovely.
beef dip sandwich. Yes,
yeah.
It is lovely. And you know what? It's easy to make, and it's something that you can do, you know, grown up now that I am somewhat adulting here, as hard as I can. You know, it's something that you can do with an offcut, such as a roast that comes from the shoulder part of the cow. You know, it's usually inexpensive, such as this, and you know, it's something a little bit different than maybe like a traditional Sunday roast or a pot roast or something like that. We shave it nice and thin, stack it on some Kaiser rolls, and away we go. And it's all about that au jus. So what we want to do first, Trace, let me just ask you this. Do you make pot roasts? Is this something like a Sunday roast kind of thing you would do at home?
Yeah, Leo does do roasts, especially in the winter months, and he's big on the beef dips as well. Me, not so much, but him and the kids, they love them.
Shout out Leo. Leo, you know, Leo's my guy. We got this down. We've got I think him and I literally every single week we have maybe a very similar diet. So I love this.
For sure.
So what we want to do is we're just going to actually throw a little, and you don't necessarily have to flour it, but what I'm doing is I like to leave my meat out. I like to have the roast out for probably, you know, to get it at room temperature about an hour before you're cooking. And what I want to do is I want to have to help brown the meat, and we're going to put it in a Dutch oven behind me. I want to make sure that I'm just flouring on each side. Not mandatory, but I like to do it because I feel that it's going to give a nice little more brown crust to it. So let's move back here. Now, working with a Dutch oven. Again, this could go in the oven. I'm using with a nice enamel one. High ridges, high ledges, and equal distribution. I like using this more so than, for example, like a slow cooker. I find like a slow cooker is good. You can set it for 8 hours, but I find the meat really, you know, to be dried out. I don't know about you. What do you think, Trace? Slow cooker versus Dutch oven.
Slow cooker.
It's an ongoing debate.
Yeah, I can see using a slow cooker because it's just sort of hands off and leave it there, but you do not want the dryness. So very interesting using a Dutch oven instead.
Absolutely, and I always recommend using a Dutch oven. Again, you could finish this and put it in the oven. I'll do it on a stovetop because I want to show how easy this actually is. So we've got our meat. Super and crucial part is, again, we're going to go straight in. We've put in a little bit of canola into our pan, and that's just going to get a nice brown on it there. So I've got that. I'm just going to turn that down just a little bit, and I'm going to keep that going. Now, at the same time, let's just jump over because we're going to make our stock, which our au jus comes from. The au jus is the best part in the world. I love a good flavored au jus sauce. So we're going to start with 1 liter of beef stock, and this is going to be our braising liquid. So this is just going to break down that meat because the chuck that we put in is all full of cartilage, and it's a very lot of muscles in it, and so we got to break that down, and this liquid is going to do so. 1 liter of our beef stock, 1 cup of water, and again, if you need to keep topping up your liquid and your braising liquid as you go, so you can. I've put that roast in. That's usually going to be that's a 2 pound chuck. I'm going to have that probably for about 2 hours or so, give or take. Teaspoon of caraway seeds. I love caraway seeds. And then beautiful Montreal steak spice. So let's just give a little rip on that. We've got that browning on all sides, Tracy. And you really want to have that, like you can see, that beautiful browning going on there. Take that out, and I would scrape this pan because we really want to get all those little brown bits at the bottom. I want to add my braising liquid. So that can go right here. Let's jump over. I've reduced, so let's jump forward. It's now 2 hours later. I've made this and ready to go. I've taken my meat, I've already shaved it down, and we've set and ready to go. So I've taken a few Kaisers. I would, you know, this recipe actually you could probably make about, you know, 6 to 8 of them actually. So what I want to do, I'm going to make a creme fraiche. Trace, do you make creme fraiche at home?
No, I never do. What's in a creme fraiche?
Equal parts buttermilk and equal parts of heavy cream. You're just going to put that together and let that sit out on your counter actually for roughly around 24 hours. If it gets a little funky smelling, you can throw it off because you know it didn't work well for you, but essentially it's a fancy sour cream. In this case, we're using creme fraiche that I've made and Dijon. How good does that sound?
That's a good combination.
Right?
Yeah.
It is a good combination. So you're going to get that. You can also use, too, a big part of a beef dip. If you can see, I'm just, you know, lathering up our bottom part here, pardon me. You can also do horseradish. I'm not the biggest horseradish fan. A traditional classic beef dip does call for a lot of horseradish. Personally, I'm not a big horseradish fan, but we want to get that lathered up with all of that goodness. We've got our, let's jump over. We've got our beef here that we've already taken off, and that au jus is just sitting there beautifully. Can you see what's going on here, Trace? Can you see the stacking on stacking?
Looks great.
Look at this, loading it up, right? So I want to show you the piece de resistance. I know that we're running out of time here, but I want you to see this deliciousness happening. So I want to close these. You could, at this point in time, because I know you like that potato chip part, you could actually you could actually throw potato chips on there because you got that little crunch action. But I want to just show you when I close this up, I'm going to cut it. And then I like to put the au jus right in the actual dish itself. So you could dip. You could be a dipper or you could be a plunger. And in this case, we're going to be a plunger. Like, look at what we have going on here, Tracy.
Looks good.
This is just absolutely ridiculous. And that is what you call a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Boatworks beef dip. Look at that.
Looks fantastic. Just show us the final. Do we want to see the whole thing together, like with the potato chips and the dip just plated nicely? You want to just bring that over so I can see it?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, you do. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. This is on demand here, folks.
Beautiful.
Cityline, let's go.
Okay, I love it. Lunch is served or dinner or, you know, eat it whenever you want. Thank you, Matt.
Ding.
That recipe is,
Order up.
as always, on our website, cityline.tv. Great work.